How are you feeling about audiences finally seeing Oppenheimer?
Oh my God, like over the moon and quite nervous. It's always a bit nerve-wracking. It's sort of like it's been ours for a long time and now it's everyone else's. But I do feel thrilled by the movie, and it's time. It's time for everyone to get to experience it.
And what was your reaction when you got the call going, would you like to be in Christopher Nolan's new movie, Oppenheimer?
It was just to meet him, at which point I was like, if you have a jetpack, just like put it on and run, like go to the meeting. And he's so English, Chris, and so casual that we talked for like 2 hours. And then he was like, right, so, it's for the character of Kitty, if you'd like to do it. And I was like, is that an offer? Like, it was just so cash and funny, and the script was heart-racing. I mean, it was a yes before I'd read it,
And in terms of the spectacle, obviously it's shot in IMAX. Why would you recommend audiences see this on the biggest screen possible?
Well, because he made it for the biggest screen possible. I mean, every detail he sweat bullets for this film. And the whole thing is just supposed to be a fully immersive experience. It's more than a film. This is a heart-racing experience, and to get the full kidnap of it, you've got to go see it massive,
Final question. Is there a message you think audiences should be taking from their experience of watching Oppenheimer?
No, I mean, I don't think Chris makes films that are didactic, didactic in any way. I feel he likes the open-endedness of asking really profound questions but sort of not giving you the answers. I want people to metabolize it together. I want you go for a drink, talk about it. You'll need to, and that's the best part.
Very, very excited. The reaction so far has been amazing. It's a film designed for theaters, for IMAX. So I'm going to watch it tonight.
Fantastic, with an audience as well. Obviously, movie number 6 for you with Christopher Nolan. Tell me, how did you react when he came to you and said, I want you to play this role?
I mean, I had to sit down for a minute. But I was thrilled. Any actor in the world would want to work with Chris. He's one of the greats, one of the greatest directors we have in the world, and I feel privileged to have worked with him so much.
Now, obviously, he's a huge fan of IMAX. If you could recommend why an audience see this on the biggest screen possible, what would you say?
Well, because I think it's less of a film and more of an experience. It's like Chris likes to describe it as 3D without the glasses.
And in terms of the importance of the movie, I was still reeling from watching it last night and the ending, but what do you hope audiences take away from their experience watching Oppenheimer?
Well, first and foremost, I think they need to be entertained. I think that movie does it in spades, and then I think it asks a lot of questions, some of the big kind of, ethical, moral, paradoxical questions that there is. And my 15-year-old kid saw it, and he was knocked out and was very, very curious about all that time in history and its relevance to today.
I'm really excited. It came out really well. It's one of the best screen performances I've ever seen with what Cillian did. He's amazing in the movie, so I can't wait. Not a long wait now for people to see it.
And obviously, this is your second movie with Chris. What was it like getting the call? Well, how did you react when you got the call asking you to be in Oppenheimer?
It comes out of the blue completely. Like he never tells anybody what he's working on really, and he just suddenly you just kind of get the call. It's a great. There were a couple films that went by where there wasn't anything in it for me to do, and so I was excited to be back in the rotation.
And obviously, it's a powerful piece of cinema. What are you hoping audiences take away from their experience of watching this?
It's an amazing movie. All of his movies, he's never didactic about it. He really wants the audience to bring what they bring and to discuss. They're very thought-provoking movies that he makes. So I think that's either Robert or Cillian, I think. Oh, it's Chris. But I think that's what's great about his films is he loves his audience, you know what I mean? He really trusts them and wants them to be talking about it afterwards, and he always makes things that provoke that kind of dialogue, which is very cool.
Certainly excited, a little bit nervous. There's a great crowd out here tonight. And,
I wonder who just walked behind you.
I know. Very excited, but a little nervous. It's always a bit scary to bring it out to an audience for the first time.
Obviously, this is a movie, you celebrate IMAX cinema. Why should audiences see this on the biggest screen possible?
Well, it's, the amazing thing about IMAX is the visual quality of the image is just second to none, and it's truly an immersive experience on that big screen, and nothing like anything you could get at home.
And you've assembled one of the most stellar casts I've ever seen. I saw the movie last night. Every single one of them gives an incredible performance. What made this the movie to populate even some of the smaller roles with Oscar winners, Oscar nominees, some of the greatest actors in Hollywood?
Well, the scale and excitement of this movie is driven by its cast. That's true of every movie to a degree, but with this movie more than most. This is a film about people coming together to try and pull something off against seemingly impossible odds. And so we needed Cillian Murphy at the heart of this as Oppenheimer, but we needed to surround him with the greatest actors that we could find, right down to the very smallest roles. There are no composite characters in the film. Everybody from the history is represented as they need to be. And so there's a large cast, a really wonderful ensemble around an excellent central performance.
And having just watched the movie and still recovering from the ending, that's all I'll say for the moment, what are you hoping audiences take away from their experience of watching Oppenheimer?
Well, I think that the thing that Chris does really well with his movies is he sort of makes films that really live with people after they've left the theatre, and so I think that this film gives people a lot to chew on, a lot to think about, and it's a little bit of a cautionary tale, shall we say.
I'll ask you the same question, Chris. What are you hoping audiences take away from this?
Well, you try not to be didactic. The film doesn't have a specific message. It's just a great story, one of the greatest stories that I know of. And so we've tried to do it justice. And I think part of the appeal of the story, what makes it dramatic, is that told right, and we've done our best, when the film finishes, there'll be a lot of interesting questions, a lot of resonances.
Well, first of all, yeah, huge fan of Chris. But also, I don't know why, I've always been fascinated with this event and the history around it, and then to be transported on IMAX cameras to where you're going to feel like you've been brought back to when it happened. And I think as people are seeing the film and saying really what an achievement it is, the fact that it's also just so riveting. Like I remember when you used to see movies that were important movies, but also gave you the full immersion in cinema. So it's kind of both.
Yeah, it's an incredible movie. I'm still reeling from those final scenes. That's all I'll say on that. But what do you hope audiences take away from their experience of watching Oppenheimer?
That a summer blockbuster can also be a very evolved piece of storytelling. I've done all kinds of movies, and I love all kinds of movies. I've never been in a film that is this big and this small, because it's something we're all really thinking about. And again, Chris Nolan takes it as an assumption that the audience is intelligent, and I appreciate that.